Terrestrial Radio back.
Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. Thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation and the Texas Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Now, let's continue this conversation. Well, thank you for being on board. This is Jim Blank with Chuck Wright. I've got a very special guest now, a very dear friend, a man who is a Army retired colonel. When you talk about continuing the mission, Chuck, this man has done it by heading up the Army Scholarship Foundation. Welcome aboard, Colonel Jeff Gault.
Hitting up or heading
up? Maybe both. Thank you, Jim.
Colonel Gault, I want people to know about the Army Scholarship Foundation. You have been a close friend and your beautiful wife, Rose. Tell us a little bit about the foundation and what it does for children of active duty and veterans.
Well, the Army Scholarship Foundation was founded in 2001 by a group of veterans following 9/11. They had left the Army and wanted to continue to serve as they saw so many friends going off to war, and they saw the hardships that the families were facing. So the Army Scholarship Foundation provides academic scholarships to children of soldiers and spouses of active duty enlisted soldiers. It's a all-volunteer organization. We have no paid staff, and so all of our work is done as a labor of love and to give back to those who give so much and sacrifice so much for our nation and for us. So that's and we give scholarships to college for military families. That's what we do.
I think that this is so important because Diane and I have been able to volunteer and work, Chuck, reading the applications, and some of these applications really grab you emotionally, because one of the things you and I talked about in the very beginning is the difficulty that career military families have. Their children, they go through, how many schools did your kids go through? They go through different schools all the time.
Yeah, I have had 3 kids, and each one of them went to 8 different schools.
Wow.
And I'm an Air Force brat, so I know that intimately. Oddly enough, and I'm sure you're familiar with Randolph and Cole down in San Antonio. One is they're the only 2 schools in the United States, continental United States, where the school district is defined by the boundaries of a military base. So we know that. Now, my little brother, who is 2 years from retiring from the Marine Corps as an 06, as a colonel, is one of the very few kids at Randolph, and I think there's about 60 total since the school was founded back in the 60s that did all 12 years at Randolph. So it's, and I don't think I hit 8 because my dad retired when we got back to Randolph, but I know I hit 6 or 7. Yeah. So it is tough, and it does make it difficult for the kids. I need to ask you a question right quick, because you said these are scholarships for the Army, but then you also said scholarships for the military. I would like you to clarify that, and it's leading to another question.
Yeah, it's only for Army family members.
Okay.
There are, every service has its own organization with a similar mission. We are the one for the Army. There is, for example, the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation in Arlington, Virginia, that does essentially the same thing we do for the Marines.
Okay. And that's what I did. I got out of being an Air Force brat and went into the Marine Corps. But one of the other question I wanted to ask you is, has anybody in all of your organizations created a database to allow our parents of brats, as I am proud to refer myself as a brat, is there a database of all of the sources for scholarships, or at least a lot of them that you know of?
No, there is not, although we get queries from universities all the time that maintain their own databases for various types of scholarships, and we are listed. There are some organizations, perhaps the National Military Family Organization, and a couple of others that I think try to maintain databases for military children's scholarships, but I'm not aware of any one that is all-encompassing.
Okay. Was just curious about that. And for our listeners on Facebook, your website information is up right now. and we'll continue to have you talk about these scholarships.
Yeah, Jeff, we're actually posting your whole website on Facebook, so everybody's seeing it and seeing the pictures of some of the students. I love to tell a story, though, about that young lady that I met a couple of years ago who her husband was up at Wichita Falls at Shepherd Air Force, or was it up in Lawton, Oklahoma?
Yes, Fort Sill.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that story, because that's a huge success story.
Yes, it's interesting. We gave an award, a scholarship award, to a young lady who was married to a private first class. He was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and she was living in Fort Worth with their two young children. She was commuting to North Texas to Denton for college. She also worked full-time in Denton on the job. So she was working full-time, going to school full-time, was a full-time mother of two young preschool kids, and her husband was miles away, and she only saw him occasionally every couple of months on the weekend. So we awarded scholarships to her. She was able to graduate from Texas Women's University with a business degree, and we had her speak at a luncheon and talk about her story. And one of the individuals in the audience worked for a defense contractor and was so impressed with her presence and her story and her ability to manage all of these tasks and activities that he offered her a job on the spot.
Wow, that is so impressive.
Yeah, she took it, and she's been since promoted twice by the company because she has done so well.
Jeff, Colonel, I was going to ask you, total, we were talking about one individual, and it's an incredible story. Overall, how much money in scholarships and how many dependents, and I should say dependents because they're not just kids, and I kind of inferred that earlier, but this can be for spouses as well. How many total recipients are there a year, and how much money is allocated?
Well, we gave out 300 last year, and they averaged just over $1,000 a piece for the three scholarships, for the 300 scholarships. You know, the amount for the individuals ranges from $1,000 to $5,000 in what we give out, depending upon how much money we have available and how many applicants we have. The sad part is that every year we have to turn down about a third of the applicants because we simply don't have enough funds to give every deserving and worthy family member an award.
So the need is still there for more.
Absolutely.
That's why we're showing this on Facebook, because we want people to jump in and to donate. There is a major luncheon that comes on in the fall. You're doing an event here fairly recently that's going to be really exciting, of a wine tasting. So you're doing events, you're doing things, you're fundraising. This is important for people to get involved because the money that you're giving goes to the kids, 100%.
Yes, yes, or as close to 100% as we can give it. There's no takeout for salaries or for our office. We have an office that's been donated by a supporter, and so we don't have to pay any rent or anything like that. So yes, the overwhelming majority of all funds go straight to scholarships.
Here's the other thing I found out by being involved with you and Rose. When a kid gets a scholarship, or a young man or woman, let's put it that way, when they get a scholarship, they're vetted. I mean, going through that application is an amazing thing. They tend to then get offers and scholarships from other organizations in other schools because they have been vetted by Army Scholarship. So this is one that can start multiplying through other organizations as well.
Yes, yes, and you alluded to the vetting process. Of course, there's an application that they go through, and then what we do is we assemble all of these applications, normally up to 500 of them, and we have a committee, a board of all volunteers, about 30 people, who gather every year and go through and score these scholarship awards based on the financial need, on the academics, on the extracurricular activities, and all of the things that these military family members do. And then, as I said, we don't have enough funds, so we create sort of an order of merit list, if you will, with a high to low score. And then based upon the amount of money that we have to award, we are unfortunately forced to draw a cut line. And then everybody above the line gets an award. And unfortunately, we have a waiting list in for those that are below.
I know, because Diane and I are part of that 30. And one of the things I remember last year, reading an application from young family, a young lady, and I believe her dad was killed in Afghanistan. I can't go to the specifics for obvious reasons, but you've had a number of those, which are basically the child of someone. They're Gold Star families, as we call them.
Absolutely. Yes. We get a number of Gold Star families every year that we make an award to. And disabled soldiers who are no longer able to work and are militarily or medically retired. The situations really run the gamut. And the one thing that we see, I am a little bit surprised to see so much of, is how many of these, the high school students who are applying for college, how many of them are having to work while they are in high school. So many of them have jobs in addition to, playing football or running track or any of the other extracurricular activities. So many of them have to work. So the need is great on the part of these military families.
Without a doubt. And I got to tell you, I want you to go to ArmyScholarshipFoundation.org and be a part of this. If you're here in Dallas-Fort Worth, get a hold of Rose and Jeff, and they'll plug you in. But, boy, when it comes to raising money, we're here to help every way we humanly can. We want this foundation to be able to provide 100% of the kids who apply. So you get about 500 that apply every year. We need to get $200,000 more into the Scholarship Foundation, or more than that.
$2 million.
Yeah, $2 million. Okay, I mean,
we need another $2 million.
We need another $2 million.
Yeah. Well, there's never enough money for all of them, and what we find, interestingly, these military family members are very enterprising and innovative, and what they do. I mean, our scholarship is certainly not enough to pay for an academic year or semester. What we find is that these students, as Jim mentioned earlier, they cobble together multiple scholarships from various sources to pay for their education. In addition to working, they will apply to a number of different opportunities that they find. And our scholarship is but one of those that helps them to achieve their educational goals.
One of the things I remember, and Diane will remember as we read the applications, the outstanding, not only academics, but leadership. Many of these kids were on their school councils. Many of them were leaders. Many of them did a lot of leadership things within their school, president of this, president of that. The amazing thing was these military families, because I think it's a military family, just like you grew up, Chuck, they have leadership ingrained within them from their parents. And the amazing thing is these kids are so exceptional. They're the leaders of tomorrow, but they're also the ones with the greatest financial needs. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. There's some incredible talent there. We have talked on the show for years and years and years about the incredible leadership training that our military provides. I know what it's like. I was amazed at how many of my high school, keeping in mind that my high school was one where
let's take a break, and we're going to be right back. Facebook, stay with us, and I'll let Chuck finish his thought in just a second. So stay with us on Facebook. You're listening to the Veterans Impact Show with Jim Blythe and Chuck Wright. We're talking with Colonel Jeff Gault. We'll be right back.
Okay, you gotta give me my clock back. Keep doing that to me. Keeps cutting me off in the middle of saying something. Oh, okay. All the more reason we need to bring the clock back. So I'm over here flying blind for all of our Facebook listeners.
Well, that's where
that's
where.
Yep, but I can't see that from here.
I've got my glasses on. I can.
It has nothing to do with glasses. It's everything to do with the angle. I can't see this. That's what I keep looking over there for.
Colonel Gault, are you still with me? All right, we're going to be coming back in a few minutes. Are there some things that you would like to specifically talk about? You want to mention, again, we want to mention the foundation's website, some of the other things that we've got available for people to donate to. Would you tell us a little bit when we come back about that? But right now to Facebook, tell us about some of that.
Okay.
And that was a problem with Kilroy's conversation for the longest time.
All right. So, by the way, Jeff, I'm sorry Rose didn't get to join us today. She's such a beautiful lady.
I'm sorry, but, I mitigated that fact by having my internet down here in the house, and I can't show her anyway. So.
You and I both married above ourselves, and so did Chuck. Well, he married way above himself.
And you say this like it's a bad thing.
Without a doubt. So. And how many years have you been doing the Scholarship Foundation, Jeff?
Since 2006. So 16, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing to think that we are 16 years from 2006, that we are more than 20 years from 9/11.
Yeah.
I know. That is amazing
for the people that you support, for the well, at least the kids, not just the dependents, but the kids. Beautiful. There we go. We're trying to figure out how to.
Yeah.
Here,
there we go.
Yeah.
I can see that. I got you. That's great. You put the clock up there. I got a 21-year-old knows so much. It's amazing. It's a blessing.
Now he's taking my clock away from me. They're picking on me. They won't let me have a clock, and that way Jim can cut me off when I'm trying to say something. 2 weeks in a row. Huh? Don't have a clue. Already forgotten it was so important.
Colonel Gault, you're going to love this studio when you get a chance to come up here. This is fantastic. We've got technology we only dreamed of.
This is your new studio, right?
This is our new studio.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's up in Frisco. Yeah. And while we're talking on Facebook, Facebook is seeing the Army Scholarship Foundation website. It's rolling. That is really tremendous.
And this is at the forefront of people's minds as we are coming up. And it will be 5 more weeks until my son graduates from high school.
You bet.
That is going to be a wild week for me because we have the golf tournament on Friday and his graduation 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. I'm going to be a tired puppy.
In exactly 20 seconds, we'll be going back with hooking into our terrestrial radio. So thank you for being with us on Facebook. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for putting it out to your groups. All right, we're going to be right back on the air now.
Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. Thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation and the Texas Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Now, let's continue this conversation.
We're talking with Colonel Jeff Gault, and of course, I have the Marine to end all Marines as my co-host and partner in this situation. So if it's screwed up, blame me. If it's really great, blame me. Whatever. Hey, Jeff Gault, you have done such a fantastic job with the Army Scholarship Foundation. Facebook is showing this constantly rolling through. People can go to the armyscholarship.org. There is a donate button on there, correct?
Yes, there is.
Out of the okay,
Go ahead.
out of the number of students that apply, how many would you say are Gold Star families?
Maybe 10%. It's not an overwhelming number, 5 or 10% probably. We get 10 or 15 every year who are Gold Star families. Of course, the Gold Star families have other scholarship opportunities that your average military family member doesn't have. So we are but one of their supporters.
Now, there's also a lot of these students who parents are still alive, but they're disabled veterans. We're very familiar with that.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's quite a large number, as a matter of fact. I'm looking here in the letter. My father is a disabled veteran. He is still somewhat independent, but physical limitations distress him, and will continue to do so, and will get worse. Although I'm a busy college student, I assist him and my family whenever I can. Just as an example.
These kids exemplify leadership. They exemplify the American values in my hard work, leadership, paying attention. It's just amazing. As I read all of those, there were many times Diane and I both were brought to tears reading these applications.
So, Colonel, one of the things that I noticed as we were scrolling through your website is individuals have the ability to create a memorial scholarship fund either for themselves or for a loved one. Would you talk a little bit about that program? We're going to kind of go the other way, and we're going to try to tug at the heartstrings of our donors, our potential donors who've got some deeper pockets. But talk a little bit about how one would create a memorial scholarship fund.
Yes, there are multiple opportunities there, and we have a number of families who have created a scholarship in memory of their loved one, a soldier who is no longer with us or a family member. And it does require a bit more significant donation, which is spread over a number of years. And then that establishes a perpetual scholarship in the memory of that individual. So we'll give out every year then, once a family establishes a memorial scholarship for someone who, let's say, was fallen, was killed in action, or died later, or what have you, we'll give out the Sergeant John Smith Memorial Scholarship every year in perpetuity, or at least as long as the organization is around, which hopefully will be perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
Every year we'll give out that Sergeant John Smith Memorial Scholarship. We have another location on our website, an in memoriam section, where you often see on an obituary or what have you, in lieu of flowers, please give money to this or that organization. And for people who give when someone passes away, when a donation is given to us, we will post the name of that individual on our website, also in perpetuity. So, we'll have an in memoriam for Sergeant John Smith, killed in action, Vietnam, 1967, for example. And we will post those names. So that's an opportunity. We have a lot of folks who make those types of donations for someone who passes away, if you will, a family member or a friend, in lieu of, a bouquet of flowers, which will be thrown out in a couple of weeks.
Well, we've actually got this on our Facebook showing the established memorial scholarship, and we're showing it in memoriam. We're showing this so people can see this right now. So again, Facebook, take a look at this. If you want to donate, if you got a business that's looking for an opportunity to really support our veterans, our veteran active duty military kids, our veterans kids, this is the place to go, the Army Scholarship Foundation. Oh, Lord, Jeff, we close with a prayer, and I've run out of time. It's been too great. So thank you, Lord God. We thank you for protecting our active duty military and our vets. We thank you for keeping this nation safe. In your holy name we pray, amen. Thank you for being part of this wonderful program, the Veterans Impact Show. We'll be right back next week, won't we, Chuck?
Next week.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Colonel Gault.
Thank you.
Just like